This channel is for adults and not for kids. Hey guys, thanks for stopping back by. So today is a lazy monster kid Sunday, and I got all the housework done and all the cooking done, the laundry done. I got everything done, so I was sitting around and I thought I would make a video. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about horror hosts. And growing up here in California, in Sacramento, my horror host from the time I was a little kid was Bob Wilkins. And Bob Wilkins, he was just the greatest. I know that everybody growing up with a horror host considers their horror host to be the best. I think that's just the way it is. That, you know, when you're that 7-year-old watching horror movies late at night, and that person introducing you to those things, that was your horror host, and you think that's the best one. Well, I definitely think that about my horror host. His name was Bob Wilkins, and I actually got to meet him before he passed away. Here's my autograph from him where he said, "To John, a special creature feature fan, Bob Wilkins." Okay, I will tell you guys a little bit about Bob, and then I'll tell you about how I met him. So Bob Wilkins started up a creature feature show, showing monster movies, horror movies, science fiction movies here in Sacramento. He first started on Channel 3 from 1966 through 1970. I didn't get a chance to watch him on Channel 3 because I was born in 1970. So the year I was born, Bob stopped working at Channel 3 and he jumped over to Channel 40, KTXL, Channel 40, from 1970 all the way through 1981. So that's where I knew him from, was from Channel 40. And it was called the Bob Wilkins Horror Show. And in 1971, Bob Wilkins went to the Bay Area on Channel 2. So he started creature features on Channel 2 down in the Bay Area from 1971 to 1979. So he had two shows running concurrent at the same time on two different channels. So he was doing his Sacramento show here, and then he would go down to the Bay Area and do his Bay Area show, at the same time. And it was pretty cool because you could get the Bob Wilkins show on a night when if it was clear enough and it would come in. You guys remember those days when we had antennas for our TVs, and on some nights the signal would be clear and you could pick up channels from far away, and other nights you just couldn't get shit? This was one of those cases. So I got to watch Bob Wilkins on Channel 40, and then sometimes I would get to pick him up from Channel 2 from down in the Bay Area, which is about 2 hours away from where I live. Anyway, so he's got two of the same show on two different channels running at the same time, which is pretty awesome when you think about it. Bob Wilkins was very, very laid back. He was super cool. And where most horror hosts would dress up in some costume and have some sort of shtick, Count Bumpy or have some weird costume, and they would try and out-horror the horror movies they were showing. Bob didn't have any of that bullshit. Bob wore a suit and a tie, kind of looked like a blonde Buddy Holly. He would smoke a cigar, and was kicking back in his rocking chair, and he had a skull with a candle on it. And the rocking chair and the skull with the candle on it, those were sort of his props. And he had another prop, which was a sign that hung up behind him that said, "Watch horror movies, keep America strong," which, you know, would probably get lost on kids nowadays. But it was poking fun at the, you know, buy war bonds, you know, buy bonds, keep America strong. Well, Bob Wilkins flipped it to, you know, watch horror movies, keep America strong. It's just kind of cool. I think a lot of my sense of humor comes from Bob Wilkins, growing up watching him. Between him and Monty Python, I think. I have a very dry sense of humor. Bob would tell jokes, and a lot of the times people wouldn't know he was telling jokes, because he's not going to bust up at his own shit. But he would say something just totally bizarre out of nowhere with a deadpan delivery, and it was amazing. And if you had two brain cells to rub together, you knew he was joking. And I remember one time he had this like a symbol of like a dotted line of a coupon that showed up on the TV screen, and he said you could get something free, you know, and he said all you have to do is cut out the coupon and mail it in, and he's like, "I'll wait for you guys to cut it out." And there was this coupon on the TV, and he never laughed, he never said, you know, it's a joke, he never did any of that, but, you know, the audience, we would chuckle, because that's some funny shit. Yeah, very dry sense of humor. My buddy August Rigoni, Godzilla expert, kaiju expert, he got to appear on Bob's show a couple times. While Bob Wilkins was down there in the Bay Area, he started up a kids show called Captain Cosmic. And let's see if I have a picture. I'm going to show you guys some stuff too. Okay, here's a picture of Bob dressed up as Captain Cosmic, right there next to Spider-Man. Yeah, I'll start showing you guys some of these videotapes, or DVDs. So this man was a workaholic. He had his Sacramento horror movie show. He had his Bay Area horror movie show. Then he also had a children's show, all going at the same time. And the children's show was called Captain Cosmic, and he would dress up in this kind of silly superhero outfit, and he would show Ultraman and Star Blazers and Gatchaman, but they called Gatchaman either G-Force or Battle Beyond the Planets. But he was like one of the first people to bring over Japanese anime. I had read that Bob Wilkins and his wife and his kids, they went to Hawaii for a vacation, and Bob saw a lot of the little Hawaiian kids going nuts over anime, because there's a big population of Japanese Americans that live in Hawaii. And there was this huge tokusatsu and anime love over there. And Bob was like, I bet the kids, back in California would dig that. So Bob was one of the first people to bring over Ultraman and anime. So it was a trip. Running home from school at 3 o'clock, and I would get to watch Ultraman and some I called them Japanese cartoons back then. Everybody did. We didn't say anime back then. So yeah, that was super cool. Okay. This is sad, but most of Bob Wilkins, the library of everything he did, has been erased. They filmed stuff on tape back then, and they would just reuse the tapes. So a lot of what Bob Wilkins did has been lost to the sands of time for forever. But some of the stuff still exists, and I'm always on the lookout. I'm always hoping that one day some collector that taped episodes of Bob Wilkins on their home VCR, somebody will pop up and go, oh yeah, I have some of that. And, you know, maybe we can make some bootlegs or something. Because, I mean, not to sell, but I just want them. Hopefully someday somebody will come across a hidden stash of Bob Wilkins stuff. But what I have is pretty much everything you can legally get right now. This one's called The Best of Bob Wilkins. Here he is sitting with John Stanley, who would actually go on to replace Bob on Creature Features once Bob retired. So this has a lot of interviews. Something cool that Bob did that, you know, you may think your horror host was cool, but my horror host was the shit. He had interviews with fucking Christopher Lee. Like Christopher Lee on the set. Christopher Lee, Leonard Nimoy, the cast of Star Wars, Gary Kurtz, the producer of Star Wars, David Prowse, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Anthony Daniels, George Takei, like I said, Christopher Lee. The list just went on and on and on, but Bob would get like really good guests. Ray Harryhausen, Gene Wilder, Marty Feldman. Like, the list just goes on and on and on, and he had these amazing guests. And, you know, that's something Elvira can't claim. You know, Elvira might have nice big tits, but she sure didn't have any, like, interviews with people that were actually making horror and science fiction at that time. Elvira is sort of what everybody else was going for. You know, they had a shtick, they had an act. Bob wasn't doing that. His not having an act was his act. So I have this one. This one's cool. This is Bob Wilkins interviewing a lot of the celebrities. There's a lot of the people that I just named off. And it's cool because this is before The Empire Strikes Back. This is Star Wars. This is when it was fresh and something new, and, you know, to all of us little kids, it was a whole world of possibilities for what Star Wars held in the future. Not the crazy woke clusterfuck that Star Wars has turned into, but an amazing galaxy of potential that we just couldn't wait to see where it went. This is a neat one. This is the Bob Wilkins 3 DVD set. Look at all this stuff you get. I'm super pissed off though, because my favorite disc out of this whole thing, the one that would appeal to me the most, disc 3, the Sacramento years, that disc broke. It got a crack in it. So it's unwatchable. If anybody out there is watching this and you have this, could you please help your horror brother out? I will gladly pay you for a copy of disc 3, the Sacramento years, if any of you guys have that. They no longer sell this, so it's going to have to be from somebody that has this set also. So yeah, I'm sending out an SOS for if anybody else has one of those. I would really appreciate it. This is a cool documentary. This is Watch Horror Films, Keep America Strong. It talks about not only Bob Wilkins, but John Stanley, the gentleman on the right, who took over for Bob after Bob retired. That's a cool one. Oh, this is a neat one. This is Bob Wilkins interviewing everybody from Alien and the first Star Trek movie. Ridley Scott, Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Veronica Cartwright. I mean, Gene Roddenberry, Kirk, Spock, like, it's so cool. Look at young ass Ridley Scott right there. Ridley Scott tells Bob that he wanted to make Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space. My buddy Randy Davis hooked me up with this one. This is Bob Wilkins hosting this Homebodies movie. Okay. This one's a really cool documentary. The complete Bob Wilkins Creatures Features. So it's got every episode that Bob did. I mean, not every. It says what he played. So it'll be like, January 14th, he showed this and this on channel 2. And then, January 15th, he showed this movie and this movie on channel 40. And then it does all the creature features and all the Captain Cosmic. So, if you're wondering about an episode, or a double feature that Bob had, this will show you what it is that he played. This one is from November Fire. They still have this in stock too if you guys want to get a copy. So that's cool. Okay, these are recreated episodes. The movies have been changed to avoid copyright issues, but they don't even offer these DVDs anymore. Now these are a thing that's no longer available. So this is a good one. This is Vincent Price in The Last Man on Earth. So you have Bob doing his commercial bumpers in between the segments. He's got a robot on the set that some people built. And then plus you get to watch a great Vincent Price movie. Another one with the Barbara Steele movie, Nightmare Castle. Those are his special guests in his interviews. They Came from Beyond Space. So all of these movies that are on these discs are in the public domain. That's why they can use these ones. Phantom Planet with Gary Kurtz and David Prowse. That's a cool Gary Kurtz interview. He brings his kids to the set and they dress up in the actual Jawa costumes. Those were, Gary Kurtz's kids were two of the Jawas. City of the Dead, that's a great movie. Forrest J. Ackerman interview. Forrest J. Ackerman is long-winded too. He goes on and on and on. And Bob makes a joke about it. After the interview, Bob says something like, "Oh, I was really hoping that Forrest would open up, but he seems to be a shy, reserved guy." The Terror with Karloff and Nicholson. Night of the Living Dead. And he's got interviews with Romero. Bob Wilkins was the first person in the country to show Night of the Living Dead on TV. The Bob Wilkins Super Horror Show, which you guys can actually watch this on YouTube. Just type that up, Bob Wilkins Super Horror Show. A lot of this stuff that I'm showing you guys there's Christopher Lee. There's Boris Karloff. If you guys go to Garfield Lane on YouTube, Garfield Lane, you can watch a lot of this stuff. And yeah, that seems to be the channel that has the most Bob Wilkins stuff left. This is just one that I put together real quick. There's Bob in his rocking chair with his skull, with the candle on top, his cigar. This one is Attack of the Mushroom People. Bob came back in 1995 to do like a special, 25-year reunion type of thing. So he came back for one night to do a anniversary show. And the first show that he had was Attack of the Mushroom People, which, is the Toho film Matango. And so Bob was showing that. And I taped it on my VCR, and then I burned it to a disc. But like I said, that was 1995. Okay, the last two. This is a movie, The Milpitas Monster. But Bob Wilkins is actually an actor in the movie. And, he's actually in the movie. This is a cheesy, low-budget horror movie. And it's awesome that Bob is in it. Because the kids that made this movie were big fans of Bob. Okay, last video here, guys. So, Bob Wilkins is my favorite horror host. My second favorite horror host, and he'll understand when I say that, is Mr. Lobo from Cinema Insomnia. Mr. Lobo and me are the same age, and we both grew up watching Bob Wilkins. Bob Wilkins took Mr. Lobo under his wing and sort of helped him become a horror host. And it's just cool that, me and Mr. Lobo are both from Sacramento. We both love Bob. This is, there's Mr. Lobo and Bob Wilkins for Mr. Lobo's Cinema Insomnia. This is the Bob Wilkins special. And I love Cinema Insomnia. Mr. Lobo is super funny. And his feelings will not be hurt when I tell him that he's my second favorite horror host. Because he grew up with Bob also, and he totally understands that. So those are all the videos I have of Bob. This photo, this autograph, I was at I believe it was a San Jose toy show, or it might have been in Oakland. San Jose or Oakland, one of them. I was in line to get into this toy show, and there was this quiet man behind me, and I'm standing there in line, and I see this guy out of the corner of my eye. I turn around, I look at him. It's Bob fucking Wilkins right there behind me in line, and he sees me looking at him, and just gives like this little dry smile. And I'm like, are you Bob Wilkins? And he's all, yes, I am. And I shook his hand, and then I like lost my mind. I was like, oh my God, I used to watch you when I was a little kid. I told him probably everything that he's heard a gazillion times from every fan. But he was super sweet and super nice. And then me, with my luck, it got super awkward because after that, we still had to stand in line right next to each other for 45 more minutes before we got into the door. So, you know, I just got done gushing and telling this guy how great he is and I love him and, you know, on and on and on. And then, you know, he told me, great, thanks, and we shook hands, and then I was like, okay. And I was just standing there. It was awkward, but it was cool at the same time. So once the toy show opened up and everybody went in, Bob actually had a table there, and he was signing autographs. So I went up to his table and I talked to him some more, and that's where I got this autograph from. When Bob Wilkins passed away, I went to the, what do they call those things? Like a memorial or a wake. I think it's called a memorial. And they had lots of photos of Bob and some merchandise you could buy. I picked up this Bob Wilkins scrapbook. There he is as Captain Cosmic in his silly outfit. And there's his Wonder Robot 2T2. I've actually touched that thing. It now resides at this really cool comic book store called Atlantis in Santa Cruz. And they have 2T2 parked in there, and I've met him a few times. So this is a really cool book. But it's lots of really neat photos, all about Bob and his life and his show. There's Harry Martin. They both were from Channel 3. They were both kind of big names here in Sacramento in the 60s and 70s. This is just an incredible book. David Prowse, Christopher Lee. There's David Prowse. There's Gary Kurtz. Ray Harryhausen. Buster Crabbe. There's the one that started it all, Attack of the Mushroom People. There's his sign. Watch horror films, keep America strong. Leonard Nimoy, George Takei. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. This is a really cool book. This is some of the artwork. These are the commercial bumpers. You know, it would go to commercial, and you would see one of these crazy little drawings or things that Bob did. And he would just use these as intros and outros from commercials. William Shatner. Okay, so this is cool. This is from the Bob Wilkins fan club on Channel 3. Look at this artwork. This was to show, you know, you were a Creature Feature fan and you were part of the Bob Wilkins fan club. I have a few of these, but this is a really cool certificate. And I've got my official Captain Cosmic decoder card. From the Captain Cosmic fan club. Okay, so when Bob retired, John Stanley took over, and I was a TV horror host This is John Stanley's book, and there's a lot in here about Bob, because John took over from Bob after Bob left. But there's a lot in here from Bob. So this is a really cool book to get. Didn't I get this one autographed? Yeah. Anyway, this is neat. And of course, John Stanley, as you guys should all have this in your arsenal, wrote the Creature Features horror movie science fiction guide. Look, the pages are all yellow now. But this is awesome. If you guys are, want to know about a horror movie, Mr. Lobo even refers to this damn thing when he's talking about films. This is an awesome book to get. I don't know how many times this thing has been republished, with like a 6th edition and stuff like that. But this is a great book to have, talking about John Stanley. This is a must if you're a horror sci-fi nut like I am, which if you're watching this, I know you are too. You guys need this book. It's cool. Sometimes I'll disagree with what John Stanley says, but for the most part, it's a good way to get a quick synopsis of the film if you're interested in it. Okay, so that's my extent of my Bob Wilkins collection, guys. Anyway, this, I keep it in my pile of autographs. So if all you came here to watch was the Bob Wilkins stuff, it's done now. But I figured I'd show you guys my autographs, just because I don't want to do a whole separate video for those also. And it's not that big of a stack. Anyway, fucking Shinichi Chiba, Sonny Chiba. This is when I met him. Remember I showed you guys I had my Kage no Gundam DVD box set signed? Well, I also got this from Sonny Chiba. Shinichi Chiba. Oh, God, this was such an honor meeting Haru Nakajima. Oh, can you guys see the signature? He signed it, Gojira. Here's another one from him. He signed it, Gojira. And he's also signed it, Haru Nakajima. And another one. This is the actor from the Heisei series of Godzilla films. This is the gentleman in the 2000 suit. Everybody's favorite handsome leading man, Akira Takarada. He was a really nice gentleman to meet. Super nice. Kenji Sahara, who was in more Toho films, more kaiju films than anybody. This is him in Destroy All Monsters. I think this is Destroy All Monsters. Ben Faraya. That's Ultraman to you, buddy. Here's another one. I got Hayata's autograph. I got Fuji's autograph. This is when I met them. They were so cool. This is Angus Scrim. Boy. Bill Thornberry, he wrote, "To John, you're very cool." Because we sat around and talked about stuff. We talked about Sacramento, actually. And there's Reggie. He asked me what I wanted him to sign, and I said, "We're hot as love." That's the craziest line from that movie. So he signed it. Reggie Bannister. "Hey, John, we're hot as love." Fuck yeah, we are, Reggie. Julie Adams. When I met her, she's so pretty. Rico Browning. I met them both at Monsterpalooza. I never got a chance to meet Ben Chapman. He passed away before I had a chance to meet him. For John, my best, Adrian Barbeau. And Beware the Moon, David Nodden. Russ Streiner, that's Johnny to you, goddammit. He wrote, "They're coming to get you, John." That's cool. And I had to get Barbara. Boy, Roger was the scariest looking zombie in Dawn of the Dead. Look at him. He just looks like death warmed over. Jeffrey Combs. He wrote, "Who's going to believe a talking head?" Tom Savini. Which... hopefully it was just a bad day when I met him. Anyway, whatever. Lance Henriksen. You guys remember my Barbara Steele story? Here's the To John Barbara Steele. This is the autograph I got from her. D. Wallace. She's such a sweetheart. She wrote, "To John, bite me." She was so cool. Yeah, these are definitely different sides of the coin. Sweet and very cool. Very cool. Just polar opposites. Dr. Satan telling me to go to hell. There's Rob Zombie's autograph. This came with some action figures. I just threw it in here. James Hong. "John, now this really pisses me off to no end." Lopan. James Hong. He was super cool. Russ Tamblyn. This is him as Dr. Jacoby from Twin Peaks. And one last one from, from Twin Peaks. Kimmy. Lucy. And then, damn it, I forgot her name. Sorry. But this is the chick from Suspiria. The one that loves S's. Snakes love S's. That girl. I forget her name, and I can't make out that signature, but whatever. So I think those are most of my autographs I have. I probably have some more, but that's all I'm going to show today. If you guys made it this far, thanks. Those are just some Monster Kid memories. Let me know who your guys' horror hosts were. I'd like to hear about who you grew up watching, you know. I know we all think that ours was the best, so I'd like to hear who you grew up watching. All right, guys. Remember, watch horror films. Keep America strong.